Here is the work for the Systems of Inequalities core practice sheet, just the odd numbered problems. Let's give things a look. All right, for the first, it's a multiple choice. We're supposed to pick which one matches this system. So let's start with y less than 2. Notice how there's no x in that inequality. That means your y coordinate stays the same. It's going to be a straight horizontal line. That line should be dashed because there's no equal bar underneath and should be at a height of 2. So right away, we know the answer is going to be A because that's the only one that has a straight horizontal line that's dashed at a height of 2. None of the others do. But let's just continue to analyze how we know A is right and how we know B, C, and D aren't. Take a look at the inequalities. A less than and a greater than equal. That means I should see one dashed line and one solid line. So right away, I can eliminate option C and I can eliminate option D just by looking at the types of inequalities. And as far as the last one, y greater than or equal to negative 4x minus 2 means I should have a line that crosses the y-axis at a height of negative 2. Well, both of these do. I should have that line with a slope of negative 4. So down 4 and right 1. So we have to kind of imagine that, but that looks about right. Same thing here. You could also go up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and left 1. Ooh, this actually doesn't quite work. Notice, because if I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and left 1, my line should pass through this point right there, which it doesn't. Whereas here, up 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left 1, this one does. So for a number of reasons, we know that A should then be that correct answer. Notice that rather than doing the overlapping, they're only highlighting the area that is overlap. So if you were doing cross-hatching, your graph might look like this. So shade below the first one, so below that horizontal line, and then shade above the diagonal line. And so then here, that overlapping section would be where the solution to the system is. Okay, now these that we get to graph ourselves. Let's take, and I'm going to do 2 different colors just to make it easier to see. But for the first, let's go blue. Start at a height of negative 1. The slope here is negative 2, which is like a negative 2 over 1. So from here, to get to your next point, go down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. You can do the same thing in reverse, up 2, left 1. What matters is when you're finished, you should, with a negative slope, see a line going down. A slope of 2 is pretty steep, so it should be a fairly steep line going forward. And I think I'm going to try and draw this one by hand. It should be dashed because there is no equal bar underneath. So there's our boundary line. And now, which side do we shade on? Well, it's a greater than, so I'm going to shade above. You can also choose a test point. If you test 0, 0, what you'll get is 0 greater than negative 1, which is true. So we should shade on this side of things. So I'm going to put in my shading for the first inequality. There it goes. Let's now do the second one. I'll do this one in red. So y less than negative a half x plus 2. So start at a height of 2. The slope of negative a half would be down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2, or up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. This again is just a less than, so a dashed line. And it's a less than, so we're shading below this line. Now our solution to the system is only the overlapping section. So what you'll see on the answer key, if you look at that answer key, is that it's only going to show this overlapping section down here that I'll make a little easier to see with a highlight. So just this overlapping section is where the solution to the system is. Those are the ordered pairs that make both inequalities true at the same time. So both true simultaneously. Let's go again. Now this x less than negative 1. Notice there's no letter y in that. That means your x coordinate always has to be negative 1, And the y doesn't matter. So you can go up forever. You can go down forever. It's a straight vertical line. So how do you tell which side should get the shading? Pick a test point. Pick a test point of 0, 0, and let's test this first inequality. If I put a 0 in for the x, I'd put a 0 in for the y if there was a y, but there's not. So we just now need to see, is this a true statement or a false statement? Is 0 less than -1? No. So this is a false point, no shading over here. That means the shading comes in on the other side. You can also just get there by thinking about it. I'm looking for the x's that are less than -1. That means they've got to be numbers that are more negative, and those are the numbers that are over here. Let's now do the second one. Start at a height of 2. The slope is -1, so it's like -1/1. So down one, right one, down one, right one, or up one, left one, up one, left one. This again doesn't have an equal, so it'll be a dashed boundary line. And the greater than means I'm shading above. So over here are points that solve only the second inequality. Here are points that solve only the first inequality. And up here, where they overlap, that's where we get the solutions to the system, the ordered pairs that make both inequalities true at the same time.